5 cheap SUVs everyone ignores, but these are gold under $8,000. Let's be honest for a second. The used car market has become absolutely crazy. Just a few years ago, finding a reliable SUV for under $8,000 wasn't that difficult. Today, that's a completely different story. Prices have skyrocketed, dealers are asking ridiculous amounts of money for high-mileage vehicles, and many buyers feel like they're stuck choosing between overpriced SUVs and potential repair nightmares. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Not every great used SUV has a famous reputation. In fact, some of the best SUV bargains in America are vehicles that most buyers completely overlook. They aren't trendy. They don't dominate social media. They're not the SUVs everyone rushes to buy the moment they hit the market. And honestly, that's exactly why they're such great deals. Because while everyone is fighting over used Toyota 4Runners, Honda CR-Vs, and Toyota RAV4s, a few hidden gems are sitting quietly on dealership lots and Facebook marketplace listings, waiting for smart buyers to discover them. Now, before we start, I want to be clear about something. Any SUV under $8,000 is going to depend heavily on maintenance history. A reliable model can still be a terrible purchase if it wasn't properly maintained. And even the best SUVs can develop problems after 150,000 or 200,000 miles. But the 5 SUVs on today's list have earned reputations for delivering exceptional value, strong reliability, affordable ownership costs, and surprisingly long lifespans. So if you're shopping on a tight budget and want maximum value for your money, stay until the end because the #1 SUV on this list might be one of the most underrated bargains in America. And while you're watching, let me know in the comments. What's your budget for a used SUV right now? Let's get started. 5. Suzuki Grand Vitara. Starting off our list is a vehicle that many younger buyers have probably forgotten even exists, the Suzuki Grand Vitara. And honestly, that's exactly why it's such a bargain. When people think about used SUVs, Suzuki rarely enters the conversation. Most buyers immediately focus on Toyota, Honda, Ford, Chevrolet, or Jeep. But here's the reality. The Grand Vitara was actually a pretty solid SUV. Unlike many compact crossovers of its era, it offered genuine SUV characteristics, available four-wheel drive, decent ground clearance, and a surprisingly rugged design. Many owners report that these SUVs can easily handle high mileage when properly maintained. Another huge advantage is price. Because Suzuki left the American market years ago, resale values remain incredibly low. That means smart buyers can often find well-maintained examples for thousands less than comparable competitors. And honestly, that's what today's video is all about. Finding value where other people aren't looking. Would you buy a Suzuki today if the price was right? 4. Mercury Mariner. At number 4, we have the Mercury Mariner. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. When was the last time I even saw a Mercury? Exactly. And that's one reason these SUVs remain so affordable. What many buyers don't realize is that the Mercury Mariner shares a lot of its DNA with the Ford Escape. That's great news because parts availability is still relatively strong, repairs are generally affordable, and mechanics are familiar with these vehicles. The Mariner offered comfortable seating, decent fuel economy, practical cargo space, and available all-wheel drive. Most importantly, many examples have proven surprisingly durable. The biggest challenge isn't reliability, it's simply finding one. Because Mercury disappeared years ago, many buyers automatically overlook the brand. And honestly, that's their mistake. Because some of the best bargains in the used SUV market are hiding behind forgotten badges. 3. Saturn Vue. Now here's an SUV that almost nobody talks about anymore, the Saturn Vue. And honestly, that's a shame, because certain versions of the Vue turned out to be surprisingly dependable. One of the biggest reasons enthusiasts still talk about the Vue is the Honda-sourced V6 engine that was available in some model years. That's right, a Honda engine in a Saturn. And if you've followed this channel for any length of time, you already know how valuable Honda reliability can be. The Vue also offered comfortable driving characteristics, practical interior space, and affordable ownership costs. Now let's be realistic. Not every Saturn Vue is a hidden treasure. Some years are definitely better than others. But if you find a well-maintained V6 model, you could end up with a lot more SUV than you expected for the money. And honestly, that's exactly what budget buyers should be looking for. Maximum value, minimum cost. 2. Mazda Tribute. The Mazda Tribute might be one of the most overlooked SUVs in America, and what's funny is that many people don't even realize what it is. The Tribute shares much of its foundation with the Ford Escape, but because it wears a Mazda badge, it often flies completely under the radar. That creates a huge opportunity for smart buyers. The Tribute offers practical dimensions, comfortable driving manners, available all-wheel drive, and relatively affordable maintenance costs. Many owners report years of dependable service with proper maintenance. And here's something I always tell people shopping for used vehicles. Sometimes the best deal isn't the most famous vehicle. Sometimes it's the vehicle nobody else is paying attention to. That's exactly where the Tribute shines. Because while buyers fight over more popular SUVs, the Tribute quietly delivers solid value without attracting massive demand. And lower demand usually means lower prices. 1. Pontiac Torrent. At number 1, we have what might be the ultimate forgotten SUV bargain, the Pontiac Torrent. Now, before you click away, hear me out, because this SUV deserves far more attention than it gets. The Torrent shares many components with the Chevrolet Equinox of its era, which means parts availability remains relatively strong. It offers comfortable seating, practical cargo space, decent ride quality, and affordable ownership costs. But here's what really makes the Torrent special. Nobody wants one, and that sounds negative. But for buyers, it's actually fantastic, because low demand creates low prices. While buyers compete for more popular SUVs, the Torrent often sits ignored. That means patient shoppers can sometimes find incredibly clean examples for shockingly low prices. Many owners report dependable service, affordable repairs, and years of reliable transportation. Is it glamorous? No. Will it impress your neighbors? Probably not. But if your goal is finding the most SUV possible for the least amount of money, the Torrent might be one of the smartest purchases you can make. And honestly, that's why it takes the #1 spot on today's list. At the end of the day, buying a used SUV under $8,000 isn't about finding perfection, it's about finding value. And the SUVs on today's list offer exactly that. They may not have the popularity of a Toyota 4Runner or Honda CR-V, but they often provide similar practicality, decent reliability, and significantly lower purchase prices. Sometimes the smartest vehicle purchase isn't the SUV everyone wants. Sometimes it's the SUV everyone forgot about. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe because we regularly cover hidden SUV bargains, reliable used vehicles, expensive mistakes to avoid, and smart car buying advice that can save you thousands of dollars. And before you go, comment below. What's the most reliable cheap SUV you've ever owned?